when you have an encounter with God, there has to be a change, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But after that change, your walk has to show, your walk has to be a testament to that. As we seen when Jesus, when he was washing their feet, he only washed their feet. Why? Because your walk has to change after God touches you. Hi, my name is Ashton Hollins. I'm here with Through the Vine. I'm gonna be giving my testimony. Growing up, my grandmother, so I gotta tell you about my mom and dad first. So my mom and dad are both deaf. So growing up, they always wanted us over there at their house. And since them being deaf, they really couldn't find no jobs to financially support me and my younger brother. So as we got a little bit older, we started living with our grandparents. But my mom and dad, they didn't really go to church, but my grandparents, when we started going over there a lot, she always took us to church. From a very, very young age, we always went to church, and that was one thing that she pushed on us. And as I started to get older, I didn't like going for real, as a lot of people probably can testify to that. Like, I didn't want to go. I felt like it wasn't for me. I wanted to do what Ashton wanted to do, and I soon found out that it's not how life is supposed to work. And I found out pretty quick, and God humbled me, and we'll get into that, I'm pretty sure. A situation, like, for me that really drew me closer to God was in high school, my senior year, when I was playing football, the 7th game of the year. I was running the football, I ran a play. I just knew I was finna get a bunch of yards, and I seen a dude standing in front of me. I was like, oh yeah, I'm finna run him over. The crowd finna go crazy. And when I hit him, he got lower than me and hit me right in my leg. And then I tried to get up. I was hobbling. I just thought it was a dead leg. And I started to go run the next play, and I knew the play that we called, I couldn't run the next play. So I tapped out, subbed out, and then they checked me on the sideline, and I tore my ACL. And that whole process of me tearing my ACL, going through that for a year and a half, coming up here, that really helped my relationship with God grow, because I had to start leaning on him and trusting on him with my whole life, because I thought I was always in control. But during that process, I found out and really knew that it wasn't me who was in control, but God. I got into playing football because we always was looking for something to do. Growing up, man, that was just like, we was competitors. Me and my brother, like, we always competing at something, whether it was throwing trash in the trash can, we was gonna compete at it. And then at an early age, I was 6 years old when I first started playing football. My brother was 4 years old, and we started playing football at 6. And just growing up, I was always praised for being like a real good athlete. And when you get to college, you find out everybody else is good athletes too. But now it's like, it's not even for me no more. Because I figured out when I was up here, it was like a real job. It wasn't fun no more. But if I could change my perspective, which I did, which God has allowed me to do over these couple years that I've been here, change my perspective to it's not for you anyways. It's for the glory of me. And then I could work at that and work at my craft, knowing that I'm working for Lord and not working for me or working for man, and just giving him all the glory, so I could work even harder at that, knowing that God gonna get all the glory from my play and whatever comes from me being on the field. Like I said, it was a job. I was going through the process of rehabilitating my knee, coming back from an ACL injury, and I was like, why me, why me, why me? And I think God used that to show me, like, he always sees me. It's like, there's never a point that I'm never alone. And a lot of times when I was laying in the dorm, I just felt so alone. I was in a room full of people and just felt alone. And I couldn't cope with that. I didn't know how to deal with that. But ever since being up here, I was chasing everything except for God. But when God put me at the bottom, there was the only thing I could chase was God. And when I started chasing God, then everything started like to be revealed to me, like, hey, you not in control. Everything that you do chase, you're never gonna catch. You always gonna chase and always want more, and it's gonna leave you more empty than what when you started. Whew. And then as I started getting closer to God, because that's what this time up here allowed me to do. I ain't even know about Illinois before coming up here. I gotta mention that. Like, I'm from Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. I ain't even know about Illinois. Like, if you would have asked me where you want to play football at, Illinois would have never been like the first thing that I said. But because God is so good and he knows me better than I know me, he put me up here for a reason. And all those times of me being alone, like I said, I had to chase God. And when I started chasing God for real, everything started working out how it was supposed to. I started understanding why God put me up here alone. I started understanding why God wanted me in Illinois. He started opening up so many doors that otherwise would have not been open if I wasn't chasing him. Like, I started praying for my wide receiver group, which was a group of like 10 to 15 guys before every practice. And what did that lead to? That led to me praying for the whole team before team dinners. And that just shows God's grace and what he's done for me personally, and how he's worked like my spiritual journey out over these last couple years. Like I was saying with my journey, as I started getting closer with God, people started noticing that about me. And then I realized that it's not just me that I'm worried about. Like, when I first came here, I used to go to the parties. I used to do all these things. But now that I'm not, I got people coming up to me, bro, like, I remember this dude when he was going to the parties. He done changed so much. But really, when in reality is when God touched me, and I was like, hey, I can't do those same things that everybody else is doing and expect to be closer to God. I can't do all those things that everybody is doing and expect to be a walking testimony of his faith and his grace and what he's done for me. When you have an encounter with God, there has to be a change, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But after that change, your walk has to show, your walk has to be a testament to that. As we seen when Jesus, when he was washing their feet, he only washed their feet. Why? Because your walk has to change after God touches you. After you had that encounter with Jesus, your walk has changed. So ever since my walk changed and I was walking with Jesus, people seen that, and it drew people closer to me, ask questions like, hey, how do you get closer to God? Hey, how do you stay close to God when all these things are surrounding you? And people now on my team now ask me questions like spiritual questions, and I'm able to answer them because I spent so much time in the Word. I done read the Word, the whole Bible, twice all the way through. And that ain't nothing because of me. That ain't because of me, but that's because of grace God had on me and allows me to read his word, because God is the word. And ever since I read the word, I'm able to share the word with other people so that they can get touched by it too as well. And it has allowed me to build relationships that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. Just like with Tyson, who you gonna interview here in a couple minutes. But with Tyson, with KP, those relationships are built and has grown together because of a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I think that's why God calls us to have a relationship and fellowship as brothers and sisters in Christ, so that we can grow together and get closer to him. He makes it easy for us. A lot of times when you have a relationship with somebody, you don't know what to talk about. But as brothers and sisters in Christ, we could talk about the one thing that brings us all together, and that's Jesus Christ. For my younger self, this is the thing I would say to me. I would say, stay on the same path that you're on, because God using all those things that you're going through to bring them closer to you. I think God knows each and every person, and even when you don't think he knows you, he really does. Like I said, when I was alone and I didn't think God seen me, he seen me even when I was laying on my bed crying out to him. But I didn't even know I was crying out to him. I was crying out to God, but didn't even know it. Like, you know what I'm saying? My soul was yearning for him. I was so empty inside. Like, to be honest, bro, I told my fiance this, like, my eyes was turning gray. I don't know what color my eyes, green. What would I say? Green. My eyes is green, and they was turning gray. I was losing my soul because I was chasing everything. Like I told y'all earlier, like, I was chasing everything besides God. When I started chasing God, then it all started getting right for me. But I would say, stay on the path, because God uses those instances and situations to build you into the person that you're supposed to be. Like, we all know what Romans 8:28 say, because we're going to get into it. But he uses all those things, good and bad, for the good of him and the glory of him. Whether it's good or bad, I just say trust in the Lord, because he always knows how it's supposed to work out. Appreciate that, big meat. Romans 8, verse 28. We know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. When I read Romans 8:28, that is my testimony. Because when I was going through these bad things, I ain't even mentioned that I just had surgery on both of my shoulders. But when I went through this right here, it was at first, why me, why me, why me? But as I got older and I started maturing in my faith, it's like, oh, I trust you, God. It's not me in control no more. I trust you, Lord. And when I just had these 2 surgeries that put me out for 6 months, 8 months in total, it's like, I trust you, God. You already know what's going to happen. You already know how it's going to work out. So I'm going to trust in that and put my faith in that and know that whatever it is, however it is, or however it ends up, you're going to get the glory from it. And it's going to reach somebody else that may not know you. And it's like, hey, Ash, how you go through this and still have peace and still not just worried about everything? Because people come up to me and ask me, how you mental, bro? I'll be like, it's better than ever. Why is it better than ever? Because I already know how it's going to work out. Romans 8:28, we just seen what it said. It's all going to work out according to his purpose, according to his will for us. And I believe that wholeheartedly. That is my testimony. Romans 8:28 is my testimony. And I trust God with my whole life. And I couldn't say that 2 years ago. So I had to go through these things. And I'm glad he put me through these things, because now I can say this wholeheartedly with my whole heart, 10 feet on the ground, like I trust the Lord with everything in my life.
How has your relationship with Christ influenced your values, decisions, and the way you view the world since the last time you talked?
They influence everything on how I see the world. I mean, when we in the locker room, I'm like, these folks don't even know like what they listening to is hurting their soul, but it's cool. God has really changed my perspective about everything, because that was me. I used to be like, hey, I used to be turned listening to that music, but God has shown me and made me so sensitive to these things to where it's like, that's not really for you, Ash. How can you be a walking testimony doing the same thing everybody else doing? So literally everything in my life has changed, and I won't do some of the things that I used to do because God has came in my life and touched me. Just like we talked about that encounter. You can't have an encounter with Jesus and still be the same. You can't be lukewarm. He doesn't like that. He'd rather you be cold or hot. So when I had that encounter with Jesus, my walk changed, and I did a whole 180 and went the other way. And that's what God called me to do. And I love that. And I appreciate him for him touching me in those ways. It may, like, if you ask somebody, would you want your ACL to be touched to be, get closer to God? They'll say no 10 times out of 10. But God put me through that for a reason. And I trust, whatever he puts me through, it's all going to work out how it's supposed to. And it's going to make me trust in him a whole lot more.
Is there any shout outs you want to do?
Yeah, of course. Shout out through the Bryan, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Yeah, and I really appreciate Jacob, because before we even started this whole testimony, we prayed, and I think that's the most important thing, because without God, we are nothing. He is the vine, we are the branches. So, and I appreciate that. And through the Bryan, I appreciate y'all for having me on and for the supporting cast that you have. But yeah, that's the shout out I want to give. And a shout out to God. Most importantly, shout out to God, most importantly. Yeah. Believe It is my Christian clothing brand that I started. The reason I started, I did have a clothing brand prior, but it didn't push the message that I wanted. And I thought when I went to class, I wanted something to represent what I believed in, my faith. So I came up with Believe It. And it's basically the foundation of what Jesus calls us to be. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believed in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And I trust in the Lord, and I thank him. And I give all glory to him for the clothing brand that we have, Believe It. And hopefully we could grow it a little bit more over these next couple years and just keep giving him the glory. But yeah, that's pretty much it. John 3:16.